some of the questions asked on the show have been a bit demeaning, and I don't know if it's just because of this being a dating podcast, some of the questions that are being asked, but I find some of them being very inappropriate or just pushing boundaries.
Which one?
Well, I mean, there's different ones where you've asked. I
know you had an issue with the rating yourself thing.
Yeah, was the rating one inappropriate or demeaning?
I wouldn't say that one. I mean, that
seemed to be the only question you really objected to.
I agree.
Give me some examples.
I agree. Okay, so I thought that one was, to me, it's kind of like I feel like it's not a very intellectual question to ask somebody.
Which one?
Just asking them to rate themselves. But I guess if that's the current dating culture that everyone just does, then maybe I'm just not aware of that because I've haven't been dating for 12 years.
Okay.
But so I think some of that stuff, just to me, some of the level of questions that are being asked just don't seem like I'm used to. For example, I'm used to going on a lot of podcasts, on a lot of shows, and I'm used to men interacting with me in a way that's more professional or respectful. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, I've noticed like the questions being asked here and the way the women are being talked to here is kind of more or less like a little bit more like they're being looked at as sex objects, which maybe
how could you possibly arrive?
Well, she's such a fucking feminist.
No, bro, you're a fucking feminist. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm gonna fucking double down on this shit with a fucking answer. You're a fucking feminist. Okay. Everything that's come out your fucking mouth, you are a fucking feminist.
Here's my
Holy
proof.
Shit,
okay,
bro.
allow me to prove it.
Okay.
Here's a point here. On one of your
Sex
podcasts,
objects?
Sex
yeah,
objects.
on one of
You
your.
said tonight though.
Hey, no, I didn't say tonight. I said on one of your.
Okay.
One of your
go ahead. Let's
podcasts,
hear it.
you asked women about the anatomy of their vaginas. How is that not treating women like sex objects?
Hold on.
I think the TTS does
What's
that.
specific? Okay, tell me specifically what I said. I think I know what you're getting at, but specifically, what did I say?
Are you talking about the two-hole problem?
No, you asked women specifically about the anatomy of their vaginas. That's what you asked on your specifically. I think you said if they had any vaginas or outie vaginas, you're asking them to go around the table and talk about their vaginas. And to me,
Brian, you made a joke, you son of a bitch.
No, it's not a joke. I think to me, that's not that's kind of a demeaning question to ask a woman. Would you ask that to your mother?
What?
Yeah, would you ask your mother and her friends? Do you have an innie or outie vagina in a bakery?
First off,
would you ask that to your mother?
First off, the
ask
way
her
that
how many fingers have been in her cake.
Yeah, call up your mom right now and ask her if she has an innie or outie vagina.
Well, hold on. The question.
I mean, is that appropriate?
Are you going to let me answer Are you going to let me answer the question?
Go ahead.
Or are you just going to continue yapping on, as Andrew says here?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the way that you conduct yourself in any scenario is going to vary based on the relationship dynamics that exist. For example, we're all actors to some degree. The way that I might conduct myself, or that I might have conducted myself when I was in school, for example, and there's a teacher, I'm going to conduct myself much differently than when I'm among my friends. Mm-hmm. Or the way you conduct yourself at work is much different than the way you might conduct yourself with, again, a friend group or your girlfriend, for example. So would I ask my mom about, first off, I'm kind of, you bringing my mother into this is sort of insulting in its own right. But no, to answer your question, I wouldn't ask her this question. But this is a dating podcast. We regularly talk about sex-related things, dating-related things. Now, to actually address the initial point that you made about that I was asking that question, you're actually just full-on
erroneous.
You're just wrong, and you're actually, it's very disingenuous. Just like,
how is it disingenuous?
Hold on. Just like when we were saying she should bow, you made this like false accusation
that our
intention was to be predatory and see down her shirt, which actually wasn't the case at all.
You said bow towards the camera?
I'm about to destroy your fucking position.
All right.
A TTS came in and asked the question. It wasn't me. It was a TTS that said, innies or outies, ladies. If I'm recalling, it was the previous show, I'm pretty sure. Nick, you might recall. Yeah. Spencer, you might recall. Madison, you might recall. It wasn't me just like out of the ether asking the question. A TTS asked it. And I was almost like hesitantly like, do you got, like, I was kind of, it's obviously a bit uncomfortable to ask somebody about their genitalia. Mm-hmm. But out of respect for the TTSer, I was like, okay, fuck it, I guess. So it's a bit disingenuous for you to say that it was me asking when I was just entertaining the person who asked the question via the TTS.
Right. I mean, do you have to ask
and I
all
told the girls,
questions?
I'm pretty sure I told the girls, you don't have to answer the question. Right. And in fact, Andrew, I think you were there too in the call-in. Yeah. So it's just a little bit unfair. You've done some very unfair characterizations.
But don't you think that is an inappropriate question to be asking?
How this always works is like this, and I've watched this now. I think, by the way, I made history tonight because I think that I'm the most recurred.
You are the most recurring guest on the show.
Ever history. What do you know? Anyway, I've seen this so many times now. But what Brian always does is he will stop on a question if you don't want to answer it, and he might ask you your reasoning. And if your reasoning is silly, he might argue back and forth. He never actually tells women they have to answer the question. He'll just argue. If they're giving a reason why they won't, that makes no sense.
And if I recall,
I don't see why that's a problem.
If I recall correctly to that actual question, mind you, if I recall, I think none of the women answered.
Yeah,
and I left it
at
that.
Yep. Just asked it from the TTS.
But okay.
But I mean, in a dating podcast, you're going to talk about sex. You're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what the whole point is. Like, I get it. It's not comfortable to be in a room full of fucking degens talking about sex all the time, but if you want to get your message to people, you want to go.
Would you ask that on a first date to a girl?
Yeah, bro.
If she had any,
pull up big labia matter. Pull that shit up. Fuck it.
I'm not.
Hashtag big labia matter.
For me, those types of things, I don't give a shit. I don't give a how many. This is happening or that or what you rate. Like, those things for me are the least important thing from my perspective for the podcast. I don't care. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to give ideological pushback. I'm just saying to you, I understand on a dating podcast it makes sense why those questions would be asked. That's all.
Girls ask me if I'm a munch.
What is that?
It's a munch.
What's that?
You don't want to. You don't want to.
You don't know?
Wait, Renee, why don't you tell us? Renee?
Wow.
Renee, why don't you tell us?
You guys need feminism. A munch is just a certified eater.
Oh my
you just invite him over to eat you out. That's it.
That's fucking disgusting.
Hey.
Do you have that?
No. I just know what it is.
You call it an eater?
Well, they
Wait,
call
is that the thing that
people call it a munch.
is that the thing that Ice Spice talks about?
Yeah. You
Oh
thought it was
my
feeling
God.
me? You're just a munch. You're just eating my coochie. That's
Oh
all
my
they
God!
say.
I thought it was like a Cheeto. Like,
What?
Foul creature. Foul.
But like, hold on, Millie, do you see why me and Andrew might think you're a feminist? Because you've used a bunch of buzzwords: sexual objectification. What was the other?
Demeaning.
Is it well, here's the question: is it impossible to be sexually objected to a man or a woman?
Yeah, both men and women can be sexually objectified.
Okay, so
I don't even really know what that means.
My thing was like my
though.
perspective and take on asking certain questions like that was that it was kind of treating the women as sexual objects.
But the go-to.
But whatever.
Here's the big example, right? Is the go-to. The go-to is with the bow thing. The bow thing was nuts. Like, that made no sense. Nobody was trying to see down this girl's shirt.
Okay.
What
well,
was
you have to
going
understand,
on?
she's wearing a
There's
low-cut blouse.
There's an ongoing meme on the show.
There's a camera right here. You said face the
Yeah,
camera,
there's a meme.
bow to
We're
the
just
camera.
feeling-
I'm seeing
Yeah,
that
it's a
as
meme.
she's bowing down, you can start to see more and more.
Yeah, it's a
And I
meme.
was wanting to let her know, hey, wait, they're trying
Were
to.
you trying to kind of be like motherly
Yeah,
in a
Who's
way?
they?
But couldn't you have just said
Who
you
is
might
they?
be exposing yourself rather than they're
Who
trying to
are
get you to do
who
this?
are you accusing though?
Okay.
Who
All
are
right.
you accusing?
Well, you guys
me and
seemed
Andrew,
like it was
me?
really fun and funny and just.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
a
know.
meme.
Okay.
Literally, it's an ongoing meme of the show. There's women. It's like, can we get her to do it? And then it's patriarchy wins again. It has nothing to do with any. It's an ongoing meme, literally a joke, and it's funny.
I'm
it's
an
a
ass
funny
guy
joke.
also.
So yeah, that
Just
was
saying.
definitely not the intention.
Thank
but
you.
it was. But it was your go-to.
I don't really care about
it
boobs, to be
was
honest.
your
Well,
go-to,
you know-
along with all the other feminist ideology. And
No, I'm not a
egalitarianism.
feminist. I'm not a feminist. I'm a conservative. See, I don't think you guys are actually. He said he's not a conservative man.
I agree that he's not.
You say that you're a conservative man,
Yeah.
but I've heard you tonight espouse a lot of kind of beliefs that
Like
aren't
what?
necessarily
I can't
conservative.
wait to hear one. I would love to hear one belief I've espoused that's not conservative. Just one.
Well, I guess some of the beliefs you said you were pushing back against making it illegal to essentially have premarital sex.
Wait,
it's
what?
a non-conservative belief not to criminalize premarital sex. Is that correct?
Right, but then the other things.
No, is that correct?
Okay, well, I would say that if
Is
you
that
were.
is that correct?
I'm not saying that necessarily. Okay,
Okay.
that was one
Well, then
indication.
but that was
the
your
other
example?
indication is when we were discussing about what conservative men should be held accountable to as far as like engaging in premarital sex, and you were really kind of pushing it more on that it was the woman
Nope.
and that she's the one who has the choice and the
Nope.
say at the end of the day, and
fact, I
and
said
has
their
the
chastity.
power,
Nope.
and that you said women hold the power.
So they're gatekeepers of sex.
You said, yeah, women hold the power, they're gatekeepers of sex,
Yeah.
as though, and that's kind of pushing back in that, men also have a role in it as well.
Yeah,
right?
I said that. Yeah. And not only did I say that, but I said that male chastity is necessary. I said absolutely 100% male promiscuity should be socially stigmatized, just like female promiscuity. All of it. I still haven't actually heard a single position
so
that I have
most
which would be
conservatives,
antithetical to
the
conservatism.
conservatives I know believe in the Constitution, and you did say you didn't believe in the Constitution.
No, listen. So that you understand, because I don't think you ever got the argument. It's not a matter of believing or not believing the Constitution. The Constitution exists. It's the law of the land. People follow it. They do or don't follow it, whatever. I was making an argument against rights being anything other than a social construction. That has nothing to do with my belief in the Constitution, saying the Constitution is wrong, nothing like that. Just that the rights which are entailed in it are a social construction built on a false starting point, an axiom. That's it. That's the whole argument. There's nothing antithetical to conservatism about it. In fact, conservatism should be about the conservation of the Bible, not the conservation of the Constitution. We know this because you yourself would want to see certain amendments from the old Constitution taken out, like slavery, right? So you want the Constitution to be amended, don't you?
Well, it already has been.
Right. And you would like that, right? That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but
But we don't want the
respect
Bible
the
amended.
Constitution as it stands today, and the values that it has.
Yeah.
And it did kind of sound like earlier you were essentially arguing and undermining.
Well, there's
the
lots in the Constitution I don't like. Yeah, totally. Tons of things in it I don't like that I think suck. I mean, I think that it sucks, for one thing, that we have a Congress now that doesn't elect the president, and instead it's elected by popular vote. I don't like that. I think that sucks. I think that that's a stupid process, and it never was the process. I don't like the fact that we have expanded suffrage, and we're continuing to expand suffrage. That's a bad system. There's lots of systems I can point to that are superior. Tons of things in it I disagree with. But what does that have to do with anything? It's not a conservative principle. So I'm still actually waiting to hear a single conservative principle I don't hold.